Mrs. Klug, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States
of America
and
to
to
the republic for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everybody. We will be moving item number 3, the tribute to Dan Bailey, to next week's board meeting. Dan was not able to attend tonight, and so we want to make sure that we give him his proper tribute. And so he will be attending next week's board meeting, and we will be providing that tribute at that time. So then we will do roll call. Suzette, please.
Yes. Ms. Klug.
Here,
Mr. Sikich.
Present.
Mr. Keller. Mrs. Justum.
Heather, you're muted.
Here, sorry.
Mr. Schultz.
present.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
Ms. Kaiser.
here.
President Emmons.
Here.
Forgot about me.
Bill? You get Bill?
Mr. Ustruck, sorry.
I'm here.
Yes, you sure
You
are.
can't
Thank
see
you
me,
so much.
but I'm here.
Proper notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws of the state of Wisconsin. Actually, that comes after the election of board officers, so never mind. Marty?
Okay, so you ready? Kristen, for your background with the election of board officers, where policy is written as the superintendent facilitates the election of the president, and once the president is elected, then he or she takes over and facilitates the rest of the election of officers. So with that, I will open the floor for nominations for the position of president. Are there any nominations for the position of president?
I nominate Stephanie for president.
Second. Okay, we have one nomination and a second. Stephanie, are there any other nominations for president? Any other nominations for president? So with none, we only have one nomination that's been made and seconded. And so in this case, we'll use unanimous consent. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, congratulations, Stephanie, and you can take it from there.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your trust. So like we talked about last week, this is a big year coming up, so look forward to working with everyone on everything that we want to accomplish for our community and for our students and our staff.
Stephanie, your leadership the last couple of years has been impeccable.
Thank you, Jeff. I learned from a really good leader.
You were a very good student.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on then to the rest of the elections for the board officers. Well, the next election is for vice president. Do we have nominations for vice president?
I'd like to nominate Heather.
We have nominations for Heather in a second. Do we have any additional nominations for vice president? Any additional nominations? Any additional nominations? We have one nomination of Heather for vice president, and then we can do a verbal yay or nay. So all those in favor of Heather as vice president say aye.
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 Opposed? Right, that passes. Congratulations, Heather. Look forward to working with you for another
Thank
year.
you.
All right, we will then move on to, my agenda keeps moving away, treasurer. We're looking for a nomination for treasurer.
I
Heather?
nominate Noah.
I second.
Nomination and second for Noah as treasurer. Do we have any additional nominations? Any additional nominations? Any additional nominations? All right, we have a nominee of Noah for treasurer. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Move on to the position of clerk. Do we have nominations for clerk?
I nominate Gary Schultz.
I second.
We have a nomination and a second of Gary for clerk. Any additional nominations? Any additional nominations? Any additional nominations? All right, we've got nomination of Gary for clerk. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
And then a nomination of for secretary.
I nominate Brian.
Nomination of Brian.
Second.
Second.
Wow.
Everybody.
Nominated and seconded for Brian for secretary. Any additional nominations? Any additional nominations? Any additional nominations? All right, all those in favor of Brian as secretary say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that passes. We've got our slate of officers for the coming year. Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations, everybody.
That was easy.
Thank you, everyone.
Keep up the good work.
All right, now I can say what I said earlier. Proper notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws of the state of Wisconsin. Do we have any additions or modifications to tonight's agenda?
I have none.
None? Okay. We will then move on to our public comments for the evening. Do we have any public comments from our guests in the virtual meeting on Zoom? If you'd like to make a public comment, you can unmute and state your name and address for the record. We will take notes, and then if we will not debate or respond during the meeting, but instead you'll get a reply from the school board and superintendent's office in between now and next week. Are there any participants who would like to make a public comment? All right, okay, seeing none, we will move on to item 9, the superintendent's report. Dr. Lexman.
Great, thank you. First, we'll do the legislative update of 9.1. So from the state level, the April state tax collections dropped significantly, and this is something we've been anticipating since the state is shut down economically. So according to the Wisconsin Legislative Fiscal Bureau, state tax collections dropped significantly in April as Wisconsin felt the impact of COVID-19. For the first 10 months of the fiscal year, tax collections are $313 million less than the same period for 2018-2019. Along with the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, the filing extension, the income tax filing extension, impacted the April collections. The month is typically one of the state's highest for tax collections, with the usual April 15th filing deadline. State operations cost cuts. So Governor Tony Evers released plans to cut many state operations by 5% as costs rise and revenue drop due to COVID-19. Cutting the operations budget by 5% is estimated to result in approximately $70 million in savings. And guidance regarding graduation ceremonies was released. The Department of Health Services has recommended that schools cancel or postpone all in-person ceremonies for spring and summer graduations. Public gatherings such as traditional graduation ceremonies are not advised until the state has met benchmarks articulated in the state's Badger Bounce Back Plan, and the state determines that it is safe to do so. The state will reevaluate the recommendation of in-person public events once the state has seen a sustained downward trajectory in COVID-19. So this, like so many things right now, is a rapidly changing and evolving situation, but it is unlikely that any large gatherings would be recommended throughout the summer. So we will be working with our high school leaders to determine next steps, and the DHS guidance really focuses on drive-up graduations is what they're recommending at this point. Guidance regarding summer school 2020 for online instruction has been released. So the Department of Public Instruction has submitted for publication an emergency rule revision to PI 17 that expands the ability to use online instruction for summer school and count instructional minutes for membership in order to ensure districts have the flexibility they may need to address the uncertainties posed by COVID-19. The emergency rule will go into effect on May 5th, 2020 and be in place for the summer of 2020. It does not change the types of classes that can be offered through summer school, but rather allows districts to offer those classes in an online format for all grades, kindergarten through 12th grade, expanding the online option that is currently limited to credit-bearing courses in grades 7 through 12. So this is something we're planning on taking advantage of, and right now we're planning learning from home or virtual summer school. If we get the opportunity and guidance comes from Department of Health Services, we also think it may be an opportunity for us to try on socially distanced classrooms. And so we get the opportunity through summer school to bring some students and teachers back to our buildings. I think before we're trying to be up and running in the fall, I think it would be a helpful opportunity for us if that's going to be allowable. And then in high school athletics, as a result of the information shared by the WIA regarding high school athletics, the Greater Metro Conference and Woodland Conference, so we're in 2 conferences with our high schools, have met and came away with similar takeaways moving forward. Neither conference will provide a conference schedule of games to be played, recognize a sport champion, or have any type of spring sport recognition. For example, all conference team, player of the year, etc. We continue to monitor this situation as it relates to our athletic programs, and there is nothing new at the federal level at this time. So then we'll go on to 9.2, district recognitions. So Teacher Appreciation Week. So State Superintendent Carolyn Stanford Taylor proclaimed the week of May 4th to the 8th, 2020 as Teacher Appreciation Week in Wisconsin. Stanford Taylor noted her gratitude to teachers, especially during the temporary statewide school building closures due to COVID-19. This is a quote from our state superintendent. Teachers have the incredible responsibility of educating our youth, preparing them for tomorrow's world, and inspiring a lifelong love of learning. Stanford Taylor said, as many have seen through the ongoing public health emergency, the ability of teachers to adapt and support their students is invaluable. Teachers dedicate countless hours to helping students succeed, preparing them for further education, and teaching them important life skills. We agree, and we add our deep appreciation to each of our educators and staff members for their hard work and dedication to the children and families of our district. So MABC, which was founded in 1969, is the Metropolitan Milwaukee Alliance of Black School Educators. And this organization has been working to enhance and facilitate the education of all students, particularly those of African American descent. This year, principals nominated the following teachers for recognition. And a little more background here is MAPC does a number of things. They do some professional development during the year. They do fundraising for scholarships for students. And they also do their kind of premier event is their Teacher of the Year Gala. And teachers all across southeastern Wisconsin, through their principal, identify a Teacher of the Year in each school. And the gala was always a really well-received, well-attended, enjoyed event. So we miss it this year. We didn't all get to get dressed up and go downtown to the big convention center. But I do want to recognize the teachers that would have been part of that event. They did do a live streaming event on Facebook that I participated in live, and then I also recorded a little video of recognition for all of the teachers. So for our MAPC teachers, from Franklin Elementary School, Corey Schaefer, General Mitchell Elementary, Tony Leal, Hoover Elementary, Nancy Sosong, Horace Mann, Haley Schwint, at Irving, Laura Womack, at Longfellow, Allie Cardwell, at Madison Elementary, Angie Collings, at Nathan Hale High School, Jerome Wardlow, Pershing Elementary, Nancy Nienhuis, at Walker Elementary, Katie Hart, at West Isla Central, Teresa Wright and Jacqueline Boyd, and at Wilson Elementary, Maureen Merrick. And then in Recreation and Community Services Department, congratulations to Program Manager Amanda Schwittenberg for being named the Spring 2020 Blue Book Champion for Imagination Playground for her work in the community with our Operation Recreation Mobile Recreation Program. Also from REC, a big thank you to the administrative team for the efficient and effective way that they have handled all of the program cancellations, credits, and refunds. Special thanks to members of the Recreation and Community Services Center who are volunteering to do things online. One rec leader contacts the members of her adult class for people with Parkinson's disease. They stay in touch and exercise together. Other leaders are Zooming with their Action 300 program to help children do crafts and games. So I really appreciate all of the ways even our rec program is being creative with their services. And Nathan Hale High School has once again been recognized by the U.S. News and World Report on their Best High Schools 2020 list. Of the 453 high schools statewide and 18,000 reviewed nationally, Nathan Hale High School ranked number 140th in the state and number 4,283rd nationally. And that's up from number 165 and 5,441 nationally in 2019. So this places Nathan Hale High School in the top third of all high schools in the state and top quarter in the nation. So we're really proud of the work that they've been doing and continue to do at Nathan Hale. And then at Central High School, administrators and instructional learning team members, Ms. Gorlowski, Mr. Dolnick, Mr. Mr. Lukomsky, Mr. Hansen, Ms. Dalawi have worked hard to lead teachers through the transition to virtual school. And support staff members, Ms. Crook, Ms. Passanow, Ms. Edwards, Ms. Schrader, Mr. Wade, Ms. Williams, Ms. Carpenter have also been instrumental in keeping our students connected. And then finally at Shared Journeys, our staff has been working to help our students feel fully supported and loved during this time. In addition to teaching and learning, we've held daily Zoom talk sessions, created funny videos for them, and made them Mother's Day gift baskets. So a lot of things to appreciate as we kind of work through the challenges of how we do our work these days. And then 9.3, real quick, a number of things that have already been mentioned in terms of kind of where we are with graduations and sports. But one of the things that we're starting to work on with some sense of urgency is really planning for fall. And so, you know, the most likely scenario is that it's going to be a combination of face-to-face schooling and virtual schooling. That seems to be how many districts are planning. Though, like many, in Madison's one of the big ones, are planning for what I just described, but also all virtual and all face-to-face, depending on what guidance we get and where we are with treatment and vaccines for COVID-19. And so we will be setting up some classrooms in the next couple of weeks just to figure out how different kind of classrooms with different equipment and at different ages can be set up so students and staff are socially distant. You know, we're also anticipating and starting to, as much as we can, purchase protective equipment, so masks and gloves, and also, you know, disinfectant for cleaning and for hands. And so we're going to develop, like all school districts, you know, what are the protocols going to be if we need to close a single classroom in a building because somebody's or student or staff member's been tested positive. So do we have the opportunity to move students around? Also protocols if we have to close an entire school. And then we have to kind of think through, are those kids then going to be all virtual, or do we move students to another school? Do we use the new rec center? We're really thinking differently about space because I think we may use gym space as really large, socially distanced classrooms. So those are some of the things that we're engaging in just in terms of planning for what fall could potentially look like. And that's where we are at this point. So that concludes the superintendent's report.
Video went away. All right, thank you, Dr. Lexman. All right, we move on to the board president's report, taking a look at the board calendar. Today is May 11th, and we've got a regular Board of Education meeting, and immediately following that, we do have a closed session. Next Monday, May 18th, starting at 6 o'clock, we do have a regular Board of Education meeting. Then we have Memorial Day. And then on Monday, June 8th, starting at 6 p.m., we do have a regular Board of Education meeting. Okay, so now the fun things. We get to appoint some responsibilities for some of our board members for this coming year till this point next year. Taking a look at our district parliamentarian, our CISA 1 delegate, our WASB delegate, and our WASB alternate. So our district parliamentarian is the one that we kind of look to when we're looking for confirmation of process procedure rules, board meeting rules, things like that. Our CISA 1 delegate would be our representative at the CISA table. And there's also another action item for CISA later on. So please make sure that you're aware of that because those two are connected. And then for our WASB delegate would be our member who would review all of the policies, all of the protocol that WASB would like to introduce at the state level and vote on our board's behalf at the state convention, and then also an alternate for that. So at this point, we usually take volunteers for each position. If people are interested in specific roles, we would like to make sure that everybody is comfortable. Jeff?
I would be very interested in continuing as parliamentarian and as a WASB delegate, unless there's somebody else just dying for that experience.
Okay. Kristen?
I'm dying for the experience to work with alongside WASB as a delegate.
Okay.
I'm happy to be the alternate then.
gonna be the alternate this year, Jeff? You'll be a parliamentarian and our alternate, and Kristen, you'd like to be our WASB delegate this year?
So long as Jeff's willing to work with me, yes.
Really, I'm sure he'll walk you through it. The state convention's in January, so that would be an expectation for that. And then we're
Right,
still looking.
It's the Wednesday of the convention from 1 until 3. So it's during the day.
Okay.
In January. So it might mean you might have to miss it. School day.
I'm good.
Perfect. And then we're still
I
looking
mean,
for our
just so you know
CISA
that up
delegate.
front.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
to make sure that you're planning your calendar. We would still be looking for our CISA delegate. Anyone interested in serving as our CISA 1 delegate this year?
I can do it if no one else is willing.
It's a responsibility, but it's great to have that connection into that group and see what they're doing and why they're doing it and be an advocate for our board and that organization. So Noah, if you would be willing, we would love to have you be our representative.
All right, I'll accept if no one
Excellent.
objects.
Wonderful. All right, so we've assigned our parliamentarian, our CISA delegate, our WASB delegate, and our WASB alternate. So thank you all for taking on that added responsibility and for your continued service then to assist our board and to keep us educated.
Thank you.
All right, we will then move on to our consent. Oh, I'm sorry. Do any board members have any community items that they would like to update?
Only all the community stuff that I'm involved in has all been canceled.
I know. Me too.
I have
Just
seen
thought
a
I'd
lot of,
ask.
well, I just want to say, I have seen a number of like teacher parades that have been going on for various schools still. So I just want to thank the teachers for taking the time to do that. I know it does mean a lot to their students, and that's time out of your day that probably could be used preparing for all the online work that you're already doing. But thank you for putting those together and practicing social distancing, but still showing how much you care for your students. So I did want to mention that.
Absolutely.
And I also wanted to say thank you to the teachers who are setting up weekly categories and Pictionary online just so the kids can have time to have fun together. And our school at Mitchell's been doing like a virtual recess where the kids eat lunch together and then do a dance off. It's been really nice to see that incredible above and beyond. And I appreciate it so much.
All right, then we will move on to our consent agenda for the evening. We have 4 items. Item 11.1, the approval of minutes from the April 27th, 2020 regular Board of Education meeting and the May 4th workshop meeting. Item 11.2, the employment summary. Item 11.3, the supplementary contracts. And item 11.4, the approval for continued use of facsimile signatures for the president, treasurer, and clerk. Do we have a
Move to
motion?
approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Do we have any additional comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Great, that passes. We'll then move on to our action items for this evening. Item 12.1.
Stephanie.
I'm sorry.
Marty.
Oh, yes, please. Dr. Lexman.
I was still trying to unmute myself.
Yeah.
So with the agenda in the employment summary, the board just approved Carrie Stolen work to become the permanent principal at Longfellow Elementary School. And I did see Carrie somewhere in the.
Yep, she's on here.
Yep, she's on.
I want to first congratulate Carrie. Thank Carrie for taking on this role. Carrie has been the interim principal for 2 years and really took the time to try to figure out, is this the right place for me right now? And I believe it is, and I believe she feels that it is, and I want to see the great work just continue at Longfellow. But with that, Carrie, I'll turn it over to you to say a few words to the board.
Well, thank you so much for supporting our work and our mission at Longfellow. I'm super proud of what we've been able to do in the past 2 years and really excited about where we're going. So I think that our staff is just growing amazingly, and you can see it in our kids. So excited for the opportunity to keep doing that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yep, thank you.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will then move on to our action items for the evening. Item 12.1 is the recommendation of to seek a position on the CISA 1 Board of Controls for the 3-year term. Deidre, do you want to jump in on that one for the executive summary?
Yep. Good evening, everyone. So in addition to getting a delegate to the CISA 1 group, we also have the ability to apply for a seat or to advocate for a seat on the Board of Control. The Board of Control for CISA 1 works much like a school board does for a school district. So they, I attached a sample agenda to the executive summary just so you could see. Again, they look similar to our agendas. So they work through the business aspects of CISA 1. They actually go through the approval process and the hiring of the executive director for CISA 1. So it's much like, a school board works in conjunction with the school district and employs the superintendent. That's how the CISA 1 Board of Controls works for CISA 1. And our partnership with CISA 1 is really important to us. They do a lot of professional development. They have a ton of professional networking opportunities that we really do take advantage of, especially in times like right now. There's a network of us that email and get together in groups to say, hey, what are you guys doing about this? And what are you guys doing about this? And it brings all the school districts in our area together. So the Board of Control is elected at the delegate assembly, which is done at their workshop, which happens in May in the next couple of weeks. I think I put the date in the exec summary. And right now, the current Board of Control has representatives from Hamilton, Germantown, Arrowhead, Franklin, Greenfield, MPS, Muskego, Norway, Nicolay, St. Francis, and Wauwatosa. They meet monthly, much like our board meets on a regular basis. They meet once a month. And then they, again, conduct business like that. So we've had the opportunity to pursue a seat on the Board of Control for the last couple of years, and we haven't chosen to do that as a group. And so it's just the recommendation that the board consider as to whether or not the delegate would like to also be considered for a seat on the Board of Control. The only person who can serve in that role is the person that you have as your delegate. So Noah, that would be you now. So therefore, we'd have to decide if we wanted to pursue that seat on the Board of Control or not. And then we'd express interest in that. The way it works is we'd express interest in that at their convention in a couple of weeks. And then they determine the Board of Control through the delegate assembly.
Anyone have any thoughts on pursuing it?
Well, I guess the only thought I would have is, Noah, are you okay with that?
I mean, I'm open to whatever the board thinks is best. So if we want to pursue as a board a seat, I'd be open to taking on that responsibility if I somehow was elected to it.
Okay, because I wouldn't want to vote you into something that you really don't want to be part of,
It's why we put this after the nomination for the representative, because Stephanie said we had a long talk about it. Hey, we don't just want to say like, hey, by the way, you're also doing this if you take that role on. So that's why she mentioned it before. It is an opportunity for us, and we're active in the area, and CISA 1 is a really good partner for us. So it certainly doesn't harm anything to have a more active role with the organization.
Question for you, and Madam President, I'm sorry I interrupted, but when Dan was serving in that role, was he also a delegate?
Yes, he was a delegate, but then at that time, we did not choose to pursue a seat on the Board of Control.
Okay, thank you.
So,
we've chosen over the past couple of years, there've been a couple different times where we've pursued the seat, but have not gotten one. And so last year we chose not to pursue one. This year we put it as an agenda item to discuss if that was appropriate and whether or not we should throw our hat in the ring.
Kristen, did you have a question?
I was just going to say I see a benefit in us at least going for it, as I'm part of the Math Leadership Network through CISA. I've done a lot with them and for them. But it's obviously completely what others on the board are comfortable with at this time, especially with such changes coming up. It might be a good thing to have that bug in their ear in the room. So I'm just putting that out there.
I guess I'm asking this, even though it would mostly impact Noah here. What is the time commitment of something like that?
Yeah. So it's a monthly meeting, and there's also a monthly delegate meeting. So it's our understanding that the delegates all meet, and then the Board of Controls continues to meet on that same evening. So it's really just an extended time commitment. I don't know that I don't believe they have committee work or other things like that. Suzette has all the information on, the more detailed part of the work. But again, from everything that we understand about the role so far is it's really just attending those meetings and then having more of a vote or a say in kind of some of the way CISA 1 operates, much like you guys do in the way that the school district operates.
I presume they're meeting remotely right now.
Yeah, they're the workshop. Let me find it. The workshop that they're having is actually at an elementary school, all designed to be socially distanced. And I assume there will be an option for people to participate remotely. That was not in the original email that was sent to Suzette, but I'm assuming that there will be in there as well.
Okay.
This is Gary. I'm gonna abstain from voting because of my employer's relationship with CISAs.
No, I would almost defer to you to make a motion one way or the other on that, since it's going to impact you the most. If you want to make a motion to pursue or make a motion to not pursue, and then we can second based on that.
Okay. So I'm willing, so I'll make a motion to pursue a seat on the Board of Control.
I'll second it if he's okay, then I'll second it.
Perfect. So we've had a motion and second to pursue the seat. Any additional comments or questions? We have one abstention. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we'll move
Thank you,
forward with
Noah.
that then. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah.
Thank you, Noah.
If I get elected, I'll do a good job.
All right, item 12.2, school district financial depositories. Caitlin.
Yep, this is just a regular annual item. So these are all of the banking institutions that we bank with, both at our district office level, and then at the school level, they have their student activity accounts where they each have their own bank account as well. So these are all of the banks listed here, and there have been no changes since we did this last year.
I'm assuming that was the question. Okay. Any comments or questions for Caitlin? Not, we look for a motion.
Move to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, we've been moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? Not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Caitlin, you can go forward with that one. Item 12.3, the release of the 2020-2021 purchase orders.
Yep. Again, just an annual item that we have bringing forward. At this meeting, same time last year, we did this one, and this just allows us to open up purchase orders for 2021, which generally in spring and late spring and going into summer, we do have purchases for the start of the school year. We know that we don't know what our budget yet looks like next year, but this just allows us to start those purchase orders as we see fit for services that are going to be provided and supplies as needed and everything like that.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you. All right, item 12.5, the designating the Southwest now. Nope. 12.4, the 2020-2021 delegation of leasing authority.
Yep. So again, just another annual item. We have this item allows our administration to execute lease agreements with any organizations who lease our facilities. And we do have fewer this year now that we don't own the 1205 district office building. But we do still have, there is at least one that we have that leases our facilities. So this just allows our administration to execute those lease agreements.
Move to
Comments or
approve.
questions? Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No. Okay, we will move on to item 12.5, designating the Southwest now as a paper to publish school board minutes. Dr. Lexman.
Thank you. Yes, so similar to the items Caitlin was just facilitating, this is an annual item, so the board is required to designate A newspaper where we publish board minutes, and it has to be done annually. So, and so this is the opportunity that we continue to work with Southwest now.
Comments or questions? Noah?
I may be misremembering this, but I did see some legislation kind of amending how these things need to be distributed publicly, and that some of them can be moved to electronic means as well.
And I believe you're correct. Yeah, I don't think I think we still have to establish the official publication, so the newspaper. But yes, I know there's something, just like you. Right, there was some change, but it's not coming to mind right now.
Do we have any plans about where we would put electronic publication if that was passed or is passed?
I'd have to look further and do a little work with Suzette to figure out what the options are, because right now we're still posting physically, I believe, in our building at City Hall. Suzette, is there one other library? Right, it's learning if we can drop that and just go to electronic posting.
So at this point, if we adopted the now as the printed mechanism, but then found out we don't need to have a printed mechanism, there's no harm, no foul with having adopted the now. We would just adjust our distribution methods to whatever was legally required. If it was continues to be electronic, we would have to amend that anyway and accept a legal or a electronic communication strategy for posting. So that wouldn't change adopting the now as our print option for as long as we have to print.
Correct.
Jeff?
Just a quick question. Do we have to pay to have that in the now? Or do they do that as a public service?
We pay for it.
We pay.
Because I cannot believe the way everything is electronic that people still get a hard copy of the paper, that they'd even be able to even read the now, unless they're getting it online.
Mm-hmm. I think both are true. Right, the now is still printed as well as being electronic format.
But it seems like you only get Greendale, Greenfield, and Whitnall news. Nothing about West Dallas.
Right.
Not the good stuff. Noah?
When we pay, is it like on a per article basis, or is it some sort of contract fee? Do we know?
It's a fee per word, Suzette says.
Per word, okay. So if we just stop doing it, then we're good.
Yeah.
It's to our benefit.
I mean, I believe we have to do it by state statute right now.
Yeah, but they were amending it. I don't know if it was.
I agree with you, Noah. I thought I read somewhere too electronically, but I haven't read anything summative on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. We're going to continue to review that though to make sure that, that whatever the recommendations are, whatever the minimum is, that's being met. But as of right now, there is still a recommendation that we have to have something designated as a printed option. So
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? Not all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Great. Okay, that passes. Thank you. Item 12.6, the first student transportation contract extension.
So this one, we actually have some late breaking information on. As of just a couple hours ago, we heard back from our attorney. So we are not going to be taking action on this item tonight yet. We still wanted to bring it forward and kind of talk through where we're at with the transportation contract. So just a real quick background is that our current contract for transportation does not require us to pay for services that are not performed. So for all these days that we haven't been in person in school, we, per our contract, do not have to pay anything. We've been in negotiations for a while with our student, and so Aaron Norris is our manager of school services and joins us tonight, and he's going to talk a little bit through kind of where we're at with this and where we're going next.
Sure, thank you, Caitlin, and thank you for having me tonight. So I guess I'll just give you a little bit of background. So on March 16th, Dave Willis, he's the senior location manager for student, Andrew Peterson, the general manager at the first student location that we work with, reached out to myself and Jeff Borland looking to discuss I guess, the unprecedented school closure. The conversation the 16th was followed up by them sending us a formalized letter asking us to essentially commit to continue to pay for all regularly scheduled service days minus variable costs during the time of the closure. They're looking for essentially a financial commitment of 60 to 70% from us along with other school districts to ensure that they were operational when school resumed. Caitlin kind of mentioned that we reached out to the school district lawyer, Mr. Shore, and confirmed that at that time we were not contractually obligated to make such payments that they requested. That kind of led us to having this discussion with First Student, essentially like where they had made comments like, well, what happens if we're not operational come the fall? And then there was some dialogue around, if we're not operational, they essentially can look to essentially cancel our contract due to a force majeure clause. And so Caitlin, Jeff, and myself have been discussing with First Student essentially since March 16th. So since on March 27th, we went to the fiscal committee to discuss essentially, what would that look like if we were to make a payment and weigh in with some of the school board members' thoughts on what that would look like. Essentially what we were looking to do was if we were going to pay them for money that we were non-contractually obligated to pay, we wanted to look at establishing a long-term contract where we could make back some of the money that we were helping them to stay afloat. So help them in the short term and then gain the money back in the long term. That's kind of what the fiscal committee instructed us to do. Sounds like a good idea. See what you can kind of work out with them. And if it's a win-win for both, that's great. And if, we can't work out a deal, then we can't work out a deal. So we essentially got some information from our lawyer, Mr. Shore. Part of our process was to, get the information from First Student, have it vetted by the lawyer, and then come to you with an update. And the information we got from Mr. Shore was essentially, we should relook at our position as it pertains to some of the districts that Caitlin mentioned have that 60% built into their contract. That was part of what they're requesting us to have. And Mr. Shore felt like that might be too much of a commitment with some of the, too much of a commitment from the district's perspective with some of the unknowns moving forward.
Darren. So at this point, we are going to have a finance committee meeting and we'll revisit this topic with our committee and talk through next steps there. And then once we have more of a place that everybody feels satisfied with, we'll vet it through our attorney and then we'll bring it back to the board for an action item at that time. Any questions?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the committee work. So originally when they came to us with this, they just had the 60%. They want us to pay 60%. They want to know what we thought about it. And everyone in the committee was in agreement about trying to see if we could get reduction in our future costs with the understanding of, we had a 5-year contract, which was going to be up next year. After that, if we did an RFP, the percent that would go up could be considerable. And so if we could get some assurances that the amount that would go up would be limited, that would make it easier for us to do budgeting, especially with all the unknowns with what's going on with COVID-19 and what that budget, where that money is going to be coming from. So I want to commend Aaron, Caitlin, and Jeff on the work they did, because this is the proposal that's in front of us right now is miles ahead of where we were looking at when we first looked at this. So obviously we're able to get some good work done on this. So I look forward to continuing to work with it and hopefully we can come to something that is going to protect the district and be a win-win for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you to the committee for working on that. So the action item today would be to take a motion on tabling the item for a future board meeting until after the committee has had a chance to review new information and come back with a proposal with a recommendation for an action item. Heather, do you have a question?
I need to recuse myself.
Yep. I was gonna get to that one.
I would move then to table this item until the financial committee is able to meet and further discuss the new details that have been given to us.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and one recusal. Any additional comments or questions? All those in favor of tabling, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, great. We will get that table. Thank you for that. We'll watch for that to come back through committee into the next open items.
Thank you for the work on this.
So that is the end of the open session for today. We will take a quick break and come back online for our closed session. That is scheduled to start at 7 p.m. with our with the rest of the closed session group. So
Madam
please
President?
that. So if you could disconnect and then we will get into that. Jeff?
I just want to explain to all the other board members that I will not be part of the closed session because I need to recuse myself from this because I had coached with this guy in the past and we have a friendship, and I talked to Dan Valide on it today, and Dan said the best thing for me to do would just be check out after this is over. He said no sense for you to sit there if you're not going to be part of the discussion or voting on it. But if you would have a chance, either Suzette or Stephanie, later tonight or tomorrow, let me know what the results were.
Okay, you got it.
Appreciate that. Everybody stay safe.
Thank you, Jeff.
And thank you for
Jeff.
explaining.
Take care.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
explaining.
See
All
ya.
right, thanks, everybody. We'll see you at the, so we had a motion and a second to go back into open, so now we'll do a roll to be back in open.
So moved.
We're gonna do a roll call, right? Yep. Okay, Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Kaiser,
Here.
Mr. Sickich is excused, Mr. Schultz.
Here.
Mrs. Justum,
Here.
Say yes, right? Or roll calls, you have to say
roll
yes.
call here, that's fine.
Here.
Yep. Mr. Keller,
Yep.
Mr. Ustruck,
Yes.
Ms. Klug,
Yes.
President Emmons.
Yes. All right, so thank you for coming back into open session. We have a motion to uphold the district's decision regarding conversation held in closed session today.
Second.
Move to, yeah.
Been
Or
moved and
move.
seconded
Yep.
to uphold the decision. Any additional comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you, everybody. We now need a motion to end the
So
meeting.
Adjourn.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. Any additional comments or questions?
Nope.
Stay safe
All
and
right,
healthy.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, stay safe, everybody. Thank you for all your hard work and your commitment to our district. So stay safe. Talk to everybody soon.
Good night. Stay safe.